Hello everybody and welcome to the Selkares Wargaming channel for this new replay commentary on Wargame Airland Battle. So this new commentary is taking place on the new map released a few days ago, named Trondheim, spelled Trondheim for those who want to criticize my pronunciation, because it will be catastrophic, of course. It's a 3v3 map, maybe also a 2v2 or 4v4, not sure, but it's definitely a 3v3. I'm going to comment a bit the map before starting the game. So we have two starting sectors, of course, India and Bravo over here. One funny thing is the presence of a lot of bridges here, two bridges to get out of Bravo, one other bridge over here. I was a bit skeptical at first, but I tried it and there aren't that much, there really isn't any mess up and big crowd of units on the bridge. It's quite fluid, so it works quite well, and visually it's really nice. It really, well, looks like a Scandinavian map with a lot of lake, a lot of coastal irregularities. It's really nice. So coming back to the sectors, we've got big income sectors with Alpha Golf on the right side, Delta and Juliet on the left. In the middle, two other 5-point sectors with Foxtrot and Echo over here. None of them may allow reinforcements. Only two sectors allow reinforcements. They are Charlie and Hotel. 2-point sectors, so quite low income, but they allow reinforcements via the new system introduced in Airland Battle, the tunnels over here, and on the other side over here and over here. So it's quite interesting. We'll have normally both teams capturing these sectors quite quickly and fueling units to attack or defend the left and the right. Let's go and see how this happens. We've got on the north side of the map, we've got the NATO players, Killer 3000, Sparika and Surkupa. And on the south side of the map, on India, we've got 3 LVA players. Well, LVA or members to become LVA. Le Carabinier, Sergent GG, and Fabrice. And we'll see how the game goes. So, in terms of deployment, we've got the usual, quite usual opening with a lot of interceptors here. We've got the Tornado ADV F3, which is quite good. Really expensive, but has nice semi-active radar missiles, infrared missiles, really fast with exceptional ECMs, so that's quite nice, and a few also anti-air planes with the J-35F Draken. So we've obviously, well, not obviously, but I believe we've got 2 British and 1 Swedish deck here, probably friends playing together with national decks. We've got a lot of British units here, the Lynx AH-7 with the rocket pod, the AH-7 20mm with the autocannon, British planes over here. We've got the Sultan over here. We've got more Lynx over here, the Harrier, which is British. A lot of Swedish troops here, so it's, yeah, I would go with 2 Swedish and 2 British and 1 Swedish deck. Which is quite nice. It's quite interesting to see players with these kind of decks. On the packed side, it's much more classic, much more violent. It's basically looks like 3 Soviet decks. We've got only Soviet troops, so we've got all the elite of the, well, nearly all the elite the packed armies can field. It's going to be pretty interesting. 2 more or less minor nations. They aren't as I would say weak as some nations like Denmark or Canada, which have some really issues in some sectors like tanks or other sectors. But Britain can definitely have big tanks like the Chieftains, the Challenger 1, a nice anti-air with the Javelins like here, a nice helicopters with the Lynx, nice planes. Sweden has really nice tanks with the STRV tanks, really nice rate of fire, but doesn't have really big tanks. On the packed side, we've got 3 Soviet decks, so probably see a lot of T-64s, T-72s, T-80s, including the T-80U, which is a prototype tank, so will probably be in these decks. It's going to be quite hard for NATO players to resist that. So in terms of map control, we've got the Pike players obviously going for Hotel quite quickly, 1 commander going for Juliet for the income, 1 commander already on Golf over here. What is quite surprising is the absence of commanders on Charlie, maybe a lack of coordination on the NATO side. It's quite well, puzzling not to see troops here because, well, actually now the Echo has been totally captured by the NATO players, by the Pact players. Sorry, so they're gonna have a nice little income advantage. NATO players have taken hold of the buildings over here thanks to helicopter transported infantry. We've got the Royal Marines and the SAS. Well, of course, it's really impressive infantry. We've got anti-air over here with the blowpipe, and we've got awesome ground attack. The Royal Marines are also really strong. The new thing that has been added recently is the CQC stats for the Bren L4 weapon. It's close quarter combat. That means that usually infantry with machine guns like these, like the Bren L4, aren't able to use it on close quarters, so in city fights. But to emphasize the strength of a few elite infantry squads, the CQC means that these squads may use their heavy machine guns in city fights, so they are much stronger than the average unit. So that's pretty nice. So the Pact players are starting to push on the left side, on the buildings on Foxtrot, trying to retake their side of the we're gonna say river, but it's more of some kind of lake. Over here they send in some infantry. The tanks take out the infantry. Once the infantry is detected, the tanks can shoot at them, and it's pretty strong. The Royal Marines are doing quite a good job resisting the Motostrelki offensive, supported by a long-range barrage by the Beacon 1A. Awesome artillery, 8 rounds per minute. It's really impressive. But unfortunately, the Motostrelki plus the tanks supporting them totally destroy the British infantry. So here we've got the NATO players with the really nice foothold over here with elite Sweden infantry units, 35 points a squad, Royal Marines, SAS. It's really elite squads. It's going to be really hard to dislodge them. On the right side, no real action. The Pact players have taken control of the area, and one more commander sent in Foxtrots. A little offensive here by the British players. The Lynx AH-7 are coming in with their rockets, and rockets for both. Unfortunately, they move a bit too close and are being shot at and destroyed by the Motostrelki and the BTRs. Hopefully this one pulls back quite quickly and is able to shoot at these units from a safe distance. Unfortunately, it gets killed by, I don't really know what, but they got killed, that's for sure. But they managed to kill a few BTRs and a few Motostrelki infantry squads before getting killed, so that's pretty much okay. So for now, 170 points to 129, there's no real difference here, no real gap between the two teams. It's really balanced. More helicopters coming in, trying to take out the BTRs, and the BTRs are killed by the rockets. Over here, one more artillery barrage in the city. Will it kill a lot of squads? The Concourse don't take a lot of damage, actually. As I said in earlier videos, the infantry squads entrenched in buildings are really hard to take out with artillery. The best way is to charge with infantry or send in some bombs with planes, or the best way is of course a napalm. Napalm is really strong. Well, it actually doesn't deal as much damage as one would think when the anti-air killed here by the helicopter, but it does oblige the infantry to get out of the building, so it may allow to retake the building after that. So it's pretty nice. Pretty nice. Scorpion light tanks and recon moving forward, but the T-64 BM, a really good tank, 16 armor in the front, 16 AP, 20 AP ATGM. This tank should be able to push back these units quite quickly, especially with some T-55As just behind them, supporting them. So that's okay. 2 transports coming in. These are interesting transports. These are they prototypes? No, not prototypes. Interesting transport. They are transports with anti-air guns on top of them. 1400 meters isn't that long because, well, rockets of course have a better range, 2400. But it's quite interesting for a 20-point transport to have some anti-air capability. It's quite rare to see that, and I think it's something I'll try maybe in the future. Yeah, anti-air transport, quite interesting. So for now, the Pact players are reinforcing their anti-air capabilities. We've got Bugs, we've got Berusa, Bug over here, we've got the Scruzette coming in, the AA transport, the Bugs over here, and I saw other units come in also. No, that's not it. Oh yeah, here they are. The OSA AKM. That's pretty. I think it's some sort of a mistake to put all 3 anti-air in the same squad. Yes, of course, it's easier to deactivate the radar when a seed plane is coming in to take out the radar units. But putting 3 of them next to each other, it's really dangerous and really vulnerable to clusters or HE bombs or artillery. And losing 3 anti-air is really a pain in the ass, since anti-air is quite rare in the decks. So I think it's a bad play to put it together. But as long as you aren't shelled, it's okay. A bit of shelling here with the Nona mortars on the city over here. No real action going on for now. It's both teams have taken position with a neat advantage for the Pact players. They've got Echo and Foxtrot. One little Buratino shot here, shooting at the different light tanks. Centurion Avr, yeah, don't really know how to pronounce that. No real damage dealt. Well, real big damage on the morale, of course, but no real physical damage. It just obliges units to pull back and get out of the way. See, you get 1 more HP killed, but that's not really big. One nice smoke screen over here, allowing the transport to cross the bridge without taking any kind of fire. Animal Shrekies are disembarking, try to attack. Unfortunately, the SAS coupled with the elite Swedish infantry are just slaughtering the Motoselki here. You see they are, well, they are all panicked. The HPs are going down really quickly. The SAS are taking out, of course. They weren't in the building and were only a few of them, but the Kustiyagare and the Royal Marines are coming in, trying to take out the Motoselki. Motoselki are just melting like snow in the sun. They are totally panicked and really still 17 Swedish troops here. The Motoselki are getting totally killed. So nice offensive, but it was totally stopped by the elite NATO, British and Swedish infantry squads. One TATU here nearly killed here by the artillery and the ATGMs. It's got to pull back to repair. It's pretty hard to lose a tank of such caliber. I mean, it's the T-8U is the heaviest tank in the game, obviously, and but you've got only 4 of them. It's prototype, so that's being a prototype tank. It confirms that the players have full Soviet, full USSR decks. So losing tanks like this is really a pain. You've got only 4 of them in your deck, so you've really got to take care of them. More planes coming in. We've got here the MiG-25BM, which is a seed plane, so we're going to try to take out the anti-air. Will it take out some units? 1 missile going, and was that just a Vik, 40 points, I think. That's not much. Hopefully he'll take something more. No, oh yeah, 1 more missile going out and hits the mountain here. Too bad. And the Yak 33 coming in, 38, sorry. These are quite good planes. It's 4 500 kilogram bombs with 17 HE power, and it's gonna just, if they, yeah, it just kills the Swedish and the Royal Marines, both infantry squads. Well, there were 4 squads actually that are totally killed, and it's really big loss, and 1 more airplane killed here by the Pact Bucks. It's a really big loss here by for the NATO players, and 1 more plane kill. The Pact anti-air, the Buck M1s are really monsters. 4,500 meters of range, 13 accuracy, 9 HE power. It's a huge anti-air. Its only drawback is that it's a radar anti-air, so of course it can be taken out by seed planes, but it's a really powerful anti-air. It's the real plus of the Pact air defense system. 1 plane coming in here with its rockets. It doesn't seem to shoot its rockets. It's having a bit of a problem to shoot its load, but yeah, and it gets killed by the anti-air missiles. A lot of planes lost here by the NATO players, unfortunately, allowing the Pact to take a bit of a lead here, but not that much. It's not even a 100-point lead, so for now it's pretty much balanced. The NATO players are able to stand the ground against the 3 Soviet decks. Little offensive here over the hill with the Royal Marines coming in, trying to climb the mountain to take the Pact forces on the flank. Royal Marines, really tough infantry squads with a nice rifle, 225 rounds per minute, 10 accuracy, a nice big machine gun, and a nice rocket too, 12 accuracy, 18 AP power. That's really nice. Royal Marines, well, it's kind of the elite of the British Army, I think. Maybe other infantry squads also are there. The SAS, of course. Don't really remember which else, but other squads are there also. Selkares here trying to hold their ground against the Swedish counterattack. These guys aren't that good. Yeah, they are quite basic infantry. At 10 points, it's quite basic infantry. A bit like the Selkares. But they seem to deal quite a lot of damage. They are supported by the tanks and the autocannons. No, not the autocannons, the... Oh yeah, it's an autocannon. Autocannon on the scimitar and the tank, the gun on the Scorpion Light tank. Back in the mountain, the Royal Marines are getting killed by the Selkares over here. The Pact players have detected the Royal Marines over here, and they will probably get shelled or burned by the Beta2. I don't really know yet. The Beta2 is gonna shoot in a matter of seconds. It's gonna, well, taking quite a lot of time to shoot, but it will burn more stuff. And well, the NATO players still having some kind of problem to counterattack here. The Pact players still control Foxtrot and Echo. They have 5, 10, 15, 20, 27, 29 points against 5, 10, 17, 19. So 10 points more than the NATO players. That's quite a big difference. One more Beta2 shot here, burning everything to the ground. And well, of course, the what's that? Is that a transport? Yeah, it's like they have to pull back under the pressure of the burning forest. More artillery here. The T-65 AM2. One killed by the Chieftain MK10, the other one panicked by the barrage. Yeah, even a little tank of the T-55, sorry, with 2 armor on the top doesn't take a lot of damage from artillery or mortars. It's not a big deal, it just stuns. So for now, it's pretty much the front line is pretty much balanced. Well, stabilized is more accurate. And well, the Pact players are starting to take a bit of a lead with 200 point advantage here over the NATO players. I'm going to speed up a bit the game because there's not much going on over here. We've got a TATU coming in. We've got the STRV 103C, 103C. These are really good units with a 15 rounds per minute. This game has been recorded before the last patch, which was a huge patch. These tanks are now have lost their stabilizers, of course. Well, why do you need stabilizers with a tank with no turret? They don't shoot on the move. So their stabilizers have gone, but they have got +2 accuracy, so they have become really interesting tanks with 14 AP, 8 accuracy, and a 15 round per minute rate of fire. That's really powerful. So sorry for that. Little problem with the telephone. So yeah, well, really nice tank. So speeding things up because we have well, not really much action here. We've got a few things going on here, a few lines coming. Oh, I'm going to slow down things here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 MiG-21S. These planes are planes with AP power for its cluster bombs. They are targeting the Challenger 1's huge British tanks with 18 armor on the front. They are now at 19 after the last patch and 4 armor on the top. Ah, crap. Okay, just pause the game, I'm back, sorry for that. So I was saying, yeah, the big Challenger 1, big tanks on the British side and all the clusters coming in, AP4 against the top, armor of 4, and the challengers are getting quite a lot of a beating, but survive to 4 cluster planes. That's a huge exploit. Generally, tanks just get slaughtered. And on the left side, THU starting the charge of the packed force. It's quite weird to see one lone THU moving forward. That's a big mistake. He is sending only 1 tank against that amount of ATGMs and losing a big tank like that. We've got, well, what have we got in front of him? We've got ITO missile with 22 AP. We've got, well, the same thing over here. Yeah, this tank is just getting slaughtered. The THU has 2 HPs left. He's got a firing computer reset and the tank is killed. That's quite of a huge mistake. Why on earth would you send a lone THU against such a big ATGM defense on the Swedish side? And more planes coming in, but more planes killed over here. And as you can see here, the cluster did a lot of damage to the ground, but the Challenger ones made, well, were able to survive and are repaired by the British supply trucks. So for now, still quite a nice packed advantage here. A few lines on the right side. We'll see what they'll be able to do, if anything. 200 points lead, well, nearly 300 points lead for the packed players. So for now, it's going quite good for them. Point lead, sectors, well, income lead also. A bit of a Sea Harrier over here, MiG-23P over here. And the Harrier shooting at the MiG-23P, but nothing else. And the Harrier, well, the Harrier is killed and crashes on the Buck. Of course, why not? And the Buck loses 7 HP. Hopefully he didn't die. That would have been awesome. Well, more shelling over here. 64BM taking quite a lot of a beating here on their morale. A bit of a smoke screen here by the NATO players. Smoke screen allowing, I'm not sure what. Generally, when you do a smoke screen, it's to allow infantry or tanks coming in. Maybe here it's to cover its tanks or warrior movement, but they haven't started moving yet. He's intensifying the smoke screen. They have detected the bug over here. They will probably shoot at it over here. The motorcycle are still controlling this city. And, well, everything is still at a standstill for now. A bit of an offensive going on over here on the right side. Warriors coming in. Warriors transport with a nice ATGM on top of it. 6 extra accuracy, 2 AP, followed by 2 Challenger 1s, 2 Chieftain MK Mark 10. It's quite a nice offensive, but unfortunately, the packed players have a huge defense. What have we got? We've got BMPT 65, 3 TATUs, T62 M1s over here. Well, Tunguska it's an anti, so that doesn't really count. Well, it does count when you see the amount of links coming in over here. Well, these guys are just gonna get slaughtered. The Challenger ones are already in a bad position. 3 TATUs are enough to stop a lot of things. They are putting more and more smoke screen to try and stop the tank shooting, but the Fusiliers still get slaughtered by the tanks and all, well, everything else. The BMPTs, the Tunguskas, everything. The helicopters are killed. Challenger 1 in a bad position. Will they continue the offensive? Not sure. They are stopping just beneath the hill over here. On the left side, one, well, more shelling over here. Recon sent in. One more Buratino shot over here to disperse a bit the enemy position. Once again, not dealing a lot of damage, but stunning a bit everything. Blocking line of sight with the smoke. And Yak 38 coming in, shelling everything, well, hitting everything, and killing quite a lot of transport and infantry squads, burning to the ground now, quite a lot of damage. The shelling and the Bratino over here, the, well, more or less failed offensive here. They are moving forward by the Challenger 1, only one of them is left. The Chieftain Mark 10 are getting a beating also. Well, can't see much over here. Challenger 1 is in a bad, well, it's quite still okay, but I mean there are still 3 TATUs over here and a lot of other tanks. Hopefully the TATUs don't have a nice line of sight and are a bit panicked, but the offensive is a total failure. The Chieftains here are killed. The Challenger 1 is all alone and panicked against this big packed group of units, and this allows the, well, this bit of shelling here and the failed offensive here allows the packed players to deepen the gap a bit in terms of points. We've got 1,200 points advantage for the packed players. Offensive on the left side, a smoke screen here to protect the tanks from the ATGMs. A big offensive with what have we got? We've got T82, T62B1, T82, T82, and T64BM. That's a big offensive with big tanks. The only thing I regret here is that there aren't small tanks to cover a bit the offensive, to take a bit the hits from the ATGMs, and ATGMs coming in and not just killing the T82s. These tanks are really precious, and losing them like this is quite, well, it really hurts the players. And the Beta2 are the best ATGMs on the NATO side. 26 AP with 14 accuracy. It's just slaughtering everything, as you can see here. T64s are killed. One T82 has been killed. The others are in a bad shape. One more T64 may, yeah, it goes down. This offensive from the pack players is really, well, was catastrophic. It really went bad, and it allows the NATO players to take a bit of kills to compensate a bit their failed offensive here. The planes are getting slaughtered by the amount of bugs in the area. Bugs, OSA, AKM, just slaughtering every plane coming over here. A huge amount of shells over here. 1,800 points advantage for the Pike players. This is a really bad situation for the NATO players. The British and Swedish armies are in a bad position. They have lost quite a lot of ATGMs and tanks, and planes also, and one more going down here. Will they be able to sustain, well, to survive after taking so much losses? 5,000 points of losses. The Pike players have controlled Echo now, Foxtrot, sorry. The total control. There are no more NATO oppositions in the sector, and well, Pact players are starting their offensive on Charlie. Infantry squad sent in the forest and the mountain here to attack over here. Tanks moving forward on the right side. We've got 3 T80Bs, 3 T80Us, huge tanks. We've got, just look at the stats of these tanks. These tanks are quite okay in terms of stats. They aren't that impressive, even if they are heavy tanks, but these tanks are monsters. We made a test recently with the last patch implemented, and 40 ATUs can kill 8 M1A1 Abrams coming at them, and it's really impressive. Of course, it always depends on the way players manage their tanks, but in the plane and at long range, the TATUs just slaughter anything that comes at them. It's really impressive. So we've got to kill them with planes, with ATGMs, by taking them, well, short distances. ATGMs work well, as you can see here. The Milan, which isn't that good a ATGM, only 16 AP, is just, well, just killed a new TATU. And honestly, well, that's another bad move here. Why are you leaving your TATUs here? Pull them back. You can't afford to lose them. They are your best tanks in your deck, and one more is going down, and the other one is going to get killed if it continues like that. Only 1 HP left, and the chieftain is going to shoot. Yeah, I mean, the thing's going to get one more TATU killed. That's tanks given away to the NATO side. So quite a lot of mismanagement here and there by both teams, especially by the Pact team, I've got to say. No, NATO also, both teams. It's quite a nice game, but with mistakes here and there. So 5,900 points, 4,000 points, so nearly 2,000 points advantage for the Pact players, and they are still moving forward. The nice army is still available here. One thing I regret here, though, is the absence of Pact commanders moving on Charlie. In Wargame European Escalation, it's a strategy that was really risky, since the weakest of commanders would cost 200 points, but in WAB, with the increased income and the cheaper commanders, 100 points, the cheap commanders, and 200 points, the armored commanders like the TAT UK, it's really nice to send in a commander during an offensive like that, to put it in the forest, to contest a sector like Charlie and avoid reinforcements being sent over here or over here, so to really block the NATO players. Sending a commander here would oblige the NATO players to send their reinforcement directly from Rao, which is really far away, and that would they are already losing the game, but that would hammer even more their initiative and their capacity to react to the Pact strategy. As you can see here, Challenge 1 and Chieftains are sent in by the reinforcement area. Capturing the sector would stop that. More tanks are coming in, 264B, BM, sorry. And well, the Pact players are still pushing forward and well, continuing their offensive. And I'm gonna speed the game a bit up because nothing, well, one more offensive on the left side here. This time I prefer this offensive than the last one. We've got T-55As, so light tanks supported by heavy tanks. That's more what I like as offensives to take a bit of the hits by the light tanks, allowing the heavy tanks to remain intact and support from a long distance. That's a bit of a better offensive, I might say. And here the tanks are coming in. They have totally wiped out the NATO forces over here, and that's why I would like to see the Pact players send in a commander on the Charlie sector, because the NATO players could send in troops over here and take this army from behind. Of course, right now it's a bit of a suicide with all the tanks here, but once they start attacking over here, if tanks pop up over here, they will be able to take out the anti-air and the tanks from behind, which is really a bad situation for the Pact players. So the offensive is going on over here, and the NATO players are sending in everything they've got. They have lost pretty much all their Challenger 1s. One of them is dead here, two of them here, maybe they have lost another one, I haven't really followed. So the British players have lost all their heavy tanks. Maybe they've lost a big amount of their ATGMs. We've got more Milan over here, but they've already put some over there. They've lost some in the forest, they've lost some over here. So I think the NATO players are probably out of solutions here to stop all these heavy tanks sent by the Pact players. The British have only the Chieftain and Mark 10 to send right now, and they don't really match the Pacts. Well, they can match them, but in terms of number, there is no chance they won't be able to do anything. And the Swedish, well, maybe they are out of STRV 103, 104 to send in. They've lost quite a big amount over here. So I think the NATO players are out of solutions here to push back the Pact offensive. And they haven't been able to... well, I mean, of course, they've lost nearly 2,300 points more than the Pact players, so of course, they are out of solutions here. They have lost their commander on Charlie, so that's definitely the end of the NATO players. They have lost any possibility to send in reinforcements on the front line. Everything has to come back from behind, and well, I believe they've got no more units left to call. That's where I really would like the replay system to show the different players' decks. We could see, especially with the new deck system, it would allow us to see what they've got, if they've got a national deck or deck with restrictions like era restrictions, and what kind of units they've got left, to see how they could have reacted, if they can react. Sparika abandoned and left the game. Of course, they are in a real bad situation. They can't really do anything more in this game. 3,000 points behind the NATO. The NATO players are in a bad situation. It's pretty much GG now at 7 minutes from the end of the game. More planes sent in over here. Su-24 planes going to kill whatever they can. Oops, by wrong units. Going to cover a bit the area with the anti-air missiles, semi-active radar missiles, and infrared missiles. And meanwhile, while the Pact players are continuing their offensive, they just killed the commander on Delta over here and are pushing forward on Alpha. They have the advantage. They could stop and wait until the timer is out, but they just want to continue the offensive and are attacking everywhere. More shelling on the city, maybe some smoke to cover an offensive. I don't know, we'll see in a few seconds. Yeah, we've got a smoke screen here and some Yak 38M coming in and killing everything with their bombs. Sorry for that. And yeah, well, the Pact players just slaughtering everything. It's really impressive. Once you've got the economic advantage, it's pretty hard to stop the enemy, and especially with decks like the British and the Swedish decks. If once the Challenger 1s are gone, you've got really few heavy tanks, and in terms of ATGMs, I'm not sure they've got a lot of choices, and of course it also depends on their deck creation. But the USSR players have definitely taken the upper hand here and are just pushing everywhere. Motoselki coming in on the right side, taking the buildings, charging through the smoke, killing every single infantry troop left. The paratroopers are trying to stop some units, but they they won't be able to stop them forever, especially against some Spetsnaz elite infantry coming in. They are just slaughtering everything. The paratroopers are stunned. They can't really defend themselves efficiently. Motorcycles are coming in. The lad javelin are getting slaughtered, which are anti-air units over here. More planes coming in, killing everything. The NATO players are just overwhelmed and losing ground everywhere. 5 minutes left. I'm going to speed things up until the end of the game right now. 4,000 points advantage. Well, not yet, but it will probably come soon. More planes getting shot at by the packed anti-air. And it's GG at this point. No more income for the packed players, only 7 points income for 2 players. Parika has already left the game. And Alpha has been cleaned. And all the tanks are converging to attack Bravo in the last 3 minutes of the game. Here we go, Bravo is going to be attacked. T-55's coming in, TATU on the left side here. Planes coming in to shell everything. Units are getting destroyed. More planes coming in, shelling everything on the right, on the left. Flamethrower tanks, medium tanks, heavy tanks also out of munition. It's just it's panicking out of missiles, out of HPs, and out of munitions. It's totally empty. And 1 minute to go, and infantry squad sent in to kill everything. Oh, we've got one challenger left. The last challenger probably. Oh well, no, maybe they've got more than that because they were 2 British. So normally they should have 8 challenger ones if they put them in their decks. Or even more. Don't they have more Challenger 1s? Gotta check that. Well. Anyway. NATO players got overwhelmed. And here we go, it's the end of the game. The timer has reached the end. 10,507 points for the packed players and 6,874 for the NATO players. Quite a nice game. Big up for the NATO players for choosing British and Swedish decks. They are really nice decks to play, but they are quite hard to master, especially against 3 players going full USSR. Yeah, they chose the easy path on the packed side. But quite a nice game, quite a dynamic game with quite a lot of mistakes on both sides. But hey, it allows us all to learn from their mistakes. And of course, it's still the beta. The game isn't even out yet, so we are all more or less beginning, so it's totally normal. Thanks everyone for watching, I hope you liked it, and see you next time.